Okay, hit it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and make some noise for Professor Glenn Loury.
In the house at the Comedy Cellar. I mean, I'm just a professor, you know. They didn't teach us this in graduate school. But good evening, everybody. Glenn Loury, Brown University. I am with Roland Fryer, Harvard University. Coleman Hughes, extraordinary musician, podcaster, and writer, Columbia University graduate, and our host, Noam. We've got some talented comics in the audience. The theme tonight is comedy and politics. Now, I came to this from many years of trying to write about race and racial inequality issues in America and finding that there were third rails. There was stuff that you couldn't say. There was a lot of political correctness. There's a lot of self-censorship. And I have this idea. My idea, and we'll see what my colleagues here think about it, here at the Glenn Show. I don't think I said that. That's my platform. That's my podcast, newsletter at Substack, and you can find a YouTube channel, Glenn Loury Show. But trying to talk about these issues in a way that opens up some space for exchange of ideas, for grappling with the stuff that we really have to grapple with if we're going to get to be in a better place, and for letting some air into the room. The stifling suppression of debate and open discussion leads to a limiting of our own ability to think about the issues that we're confronted with. And I see comedy, I mean, again, I don't know what my esteemed colleagues will say about this, and I certainly don't know what you comics out there are going to say about this. We're going to find out. I see comedy as a way out, as a way to open up the room, as a way to get some honesty into the discussion, as a way to have some debates. Now, my mouth is not a prayer book, but I do have some ideas. Here's some things that I wish comics would help us talk about. Male-female cooperative and non-exploitative relationships in the workplace have been undermined to women's detriment by the Me Too movement.
I don't agree with that.
Wait a minute, I got it from you.
That's a fair point.
Trump wasn't wrong about everything. There really are some shithole countries. You'd remember if you'd ever been in one. And the Democrats have been running some of the cities where a lot of black people live into the ground for decades. Here's another one, folks. Embrace yourselves. I'm sorry. Putin has some legitimate grievances which we have ignored in part at our peril because of the Russia collusion hoax.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. I know. Okay. You see some black guys up here, right?
We're only like 5% into this list, so.
Buckle up.
Blacks suck at IQ tests. Jews don't. It really matters. Here's an easy
Mazel
one.
tov.
Here's an easy one. Our collective response to the COVID pandemic has had elements of an irrational moral panic.
Yeah.
Now, an English professor whom I know and respect told me there's a difference between when you say something and they clap and when you say something and they laugh. He said, remember, you're in a comedy club, so I'm going to try to keep that in mind. Okay, maybe one more. Well, maybe two more. Major elements of Black Lives Matter are full of shit and undeserving of the mantle of the civil rights movement. Yeah, I know. It's hard. And by the way, all I'm suggesting is let's talk about this stuff. This is not really my opinion. I'm not actually saying this. These are just things that I think only a comic could get away with saying. We need to talk, along with Dave Chappelle, about whether the transgender rights movement is normalizing mental illness. Here's my coda. Mind you now, I'm not actually saying these things. I'm just saying that if one were to say them, it could be done most effectively in the voice of a comic. Smile when you say that has a deep meaning. My challenge to the real comics in this room is whether they agree with me or not, and I suspect they mostly don't. Find ways of bringing considerations of these issues into the public consciousness.
No, okay. Can I add something to this? I don't know if people want to be good people, right? Which means sometimes you get dumber because you want to be a good person. You just want to follow whatever people tell you is the good thing to do, so you do it. So now I think there's an idea out there where if you joke about something, people would think that means you endorse that thing. You know what I mean? Like, Bill Cosby wasn't known for rape jokes. He never joked about them, but he fucking loved rape. You know what I mean? So just because you talk about a shitty thing in the world, it doesn't mean you endorse that thing. It just means it's out there. We got to talk about it because the only way we have is fucking comedy. You know what I mean?
No, you're making a great, like, we shouldn't even be on the stage together. Like, you guys and us should never talk.
Why is that?
Because you guys say things that are true, and we say things that are funny. And when those things bleed into one another, the stakes get too high. Like, you asking about, like, black IQ, now you're implying the joke that Shane or I'm going to make is how I actually feel about black IQ. I'm just going to say the funniest one.
Right.
And that's often wrong. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if you want to talk about Me Too shit, the funniest joke is wrong. Right? Like
But we are social scientists.
The
so
funniest
we're wrong all
joke,
the time too.
the funniest joke about the Me Too is that the Me Too movement stopped during the pandemic when women started making banana bread,
I don't think that's the funniest.
and they realized what they really wanted,
I don't think that's funny.
which is to stay at home all fucking day in the kitchen and clean. They were forced to stay
All right, that's
inside,
funny,
and they
that's
loved
funny.
it. Thank you.
That is funny.
You had to let me tag
That
it.
is funny.
That is funny.
But
I
that's
don't
not
agree.
right, right?
But you're saying, Andrew,
Yeah.
you
It really
are,
does
and
sound like you believe that, though.
Right.
I know. I have conviction. I have conviction.
That's why it's dangerous, because he
But
believes
what-
it.
My wife has never been happier.
Am I afraid of getting canceled? Sometimes. I mean, I think there's, if you do anything now in the public light, there's this kind of inherent fear. All right. I think in this world that doesn't seem to understand nuance anymore, I think there's an inherent fear of people running with something and fucking your life up. And I think as an artist, it's super scary because a part of your job is vulnerability and just to be rawly honest in your mistakes and in your victories. And to do that, you have to say where you went wrong. And when we're not entertaining the gray and we're not entertaining the nuance, and there's just these very hard lines drawn in the sand of what is and isn't okay, and no one's equating life and experience and baggage and emotional shit and everything else that plays into a right and a wrong, as an artist, you become afraid to create art. And in that, we'll be stilted as a society because the conversations won't move and be pushed in the necessary way. And so is it a fear? A little bit. But then there's this other side of me that's like, I don't know, the masses have always been fucking stupid. Not for nothing, you know, I think individually people are reasonable, and in groups people are fucking idiots.
Yeah.
And if you bend to the will of the mob, then you're always bending. And the other responsibility of artists is to say fuck the mob. And sometimes when you say fuck the mob persecutes you. They burn you at the stake. They fucking take away your shit. They try to deny you the right to do the thing you love to do. Because the mob also usually is a group of people who hasn't tapped into their own potential yet, and hasn't tapped into their own truth, and hasn't tapped into their own fucking access to happiness.
Break it down.
So they don't know how to process seeing a free motherfucker.
Wow.
Lord help us.
Because they're not free yet.
Glenn, are you Sam's older Pokemon? Does Sam evolve into Glenn?
How long you been sitting on that one?
I was waiting that whole speech. I was like, how do I word this correctly?
Call me wrong if you must, but don't you ever call me humorless.